welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Good afternoon. Welcome. Today, Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. My name is Donald Welch, and I'm the author of The Love I Thought I Knew. How you doing today? Sitting here taking some notes right now because I'm in the middle of working on another project as we speak. But we're going to take this time, we're going to go over The Love I Thought I Knew, the one that we're promoting right now. And later on, throughout the program, I'm gonna share a little information on some of the other books that I've written. If you tuned in yesterday, I kind of went through a synopsis of The Love I Thought I Knew. But I think today what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit more in detail, and I'll even read a little bit, as we go along, and and like I said, give people a chance to, if they have any questions or comments, that I'll take the time to answer. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you the cover of this book, The Love I Thought I Knew. As you can see right there, this book, it explains the deception, the deceit, the fraud, hypocrisy, one goes through in his love life, right? So with that being said, I'll go ahead and get right into it. So The Love I Thought I Knew. So I got it broke down into 6 different scenes. Scene number 1, what's cooking. Scene number 2, challenges ahead. Scene number 3, analyzing the situation in depth. Scene number 4, refreshing outlook after counseling. Scene number 5, unexpected turn of events. Scene number 6, the harsh reality. So what I'll do is, before I get into it, I'll start talking about, some of the topics and why I named, the scenes these topics. What's cooking? Okay. Basically, under the what's cooking is, you have 2 people, that's, in a relationship, or should I say a marriage, and they're experiencing problems throughout their marriage. It's kind of like, if people have ever heard that 7-year itch, it's kind of like that way with them. They having their 7-year itch, and I don't even think that they're that far into their marriage yet, but they're having those challenges. So with the first, to start off with, the wife has got a little bit of insecurity because she's saying, she's thinking that her husband is not acting the same. He's not treating her the same. He's not as tentative as he used to be, from her perspective. And once we get into scene 2 about the challenges ahead, as life goes on, she's still having these insecurities. It doesn't matter what he's doing. It's something that's sparking her off to be insecure, whether it be the way he say hello, the way, he may ask questions, some of his everyday routine. She's going to see things changing, or she's thinking things is going to change from her perspective, but she's not feeling the same thing she's feeling. I think she's looking for the feeling for like when they first met. when they first got married. So I mean, like I said, you still have obstacles even before you walk the aisle and say I do. But I think she was still in that she wants to continue in that fairy tale stage, and we all know that like I said, marriage it takes work. It's a lot of hard work in marriage. I mean, you could be the happiest couple in the world from the outside, where people could see and think that you're so happy, you got it so together, and there are obstacles that challenges every day. So, I mean, because everybody doesn't feel the same. One person may feel one way about something that's not as serious to the other person, and vice versa. So, but those are some of the challenges that's ahead. Analyzing the situation in depth. What I mean by with that is, the more that they're having problems, they're feeling that they're going to have to seek help on the outside. So, besides talking to family, maybe talking to friends, relatives, that's where, maybe you have to get a professional to come in, where counseling um, becomes the thing that people get into, because maybe you need an outside person with, that professional experience. Okay. Let's see, Jeffrey got a comment, and this might be a controversial question, but does the book relate to all types of relationships? Okay. I would say, from a perspective of, when it comes to relationships, this one is based on love in itself. I mean, it could be a relationship where the relationship could be a marriage. It could be a relationship where it could be a friendship. It could be, boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, you could take the perspective, and, let's say you tell her the perspective on the way you see relationships. At the end of the day, it's just, if you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's just marriage, or just even a friendship, because a friendship is considered a relationship as well. People don't know that, but I consider a friendship a relationship, because you still have to care about that individual to carry on that friendship. I mean, you could be friends with people for years. I mean, even from when you was a little kid, elementary school. I mean, I got friends that I still keep in touch with when I was actually in elementary school, growing up together ever since, what, 5, 6 years old. And we got this thing that we don't even call it friendship, we call it familyship, because it's a friendship of people that become like family to you. So as you grow older, you become family. You don't even really look at each other as friends, we look at each other as family. So with friendship, we call it familyship. So hopefully I answered that question. But like I said, relationships is, it's the perspective on what you see, and where you stand. So to give you an example, to elaborate a little bit on that, is, okay, you meet an individual, and you're talking, and you're dating, you're going out, whatever the case may be, and then you say to yourself, when do you get to the point where you say that you're going to the next step? Well, depending on where you stand in that relationship at that point, takes you to the next stage of your relationship. Now you can just have a relationship where you're friends, and then, okay, now you're taking it to the next step, where you're in a relationship where you, but you're still testing the water. So that relationship, or you just, I call it, that relationship is a friendship taken to the next level. And then now you have stage three, where it gets a little bit more serious, where people, they become more intimate, more into people's feelings, whether it be, the intimacy can be as simple as just hugging, it's just holding hands and stuff like that. Then you're taking it even further, where now you start to make plans. You're in a relationship, whereas, you know, now we're going to get to the point of discussing that we're getting to the stage where we're going to get even closer, where we become one. So, but also, while you're going through those stages, you're also analyzing that, is this the person that I could spend the rest of my life with? So as you go through each stage, the relationship gets more serious. Okay. Now it could be a relationship where, like say, you plan on getting married, or it can be like a relationship where you have a, you have a professional relationship, you have a personal relationship. So even with personal and professional relationships, they kind of run hand in hand. The only thing different is, when it's a personal relationship, it's more personal. It's more intimacy. It's more of your emotions. With professional relationship, it can be your emotions because depending on your dedication and in your profession, and you want with your profession, you look for anything that's going to get you to the next level. You're striving for growth. And if you're going to strive for growth, and if you have any other person that's either an ally or somebody you're in cahoots with, you want to make sure that y'all have an understanding with each other. So that's kind of like a relationship, but that would be considered a professional relationship. So a professional, like I said, professional and personal relationships kind of go hand in hand. Both of them mean two total different things, but it's you can treat it the same way. So I mean, once you lose that professional relationship, the reaction is almost the same as if you was in a personal relationship. So it's like either it's going to work or you're going to go your separate ways. So you can kind of balance that out. So, but just to get back into this, so after analyzing the situation in depth, I got refreshing outlook after counseling. So this is where you're at that point in your relationship where you think, is where's this relationship going? Are we going to be together or are we not going to be together? So with the counseling, what you do is you're taking the time to repair and rebuild what you once had. Okay. Now, when you're in relationships, you may have that expectation and that dream where hopefully things will be the same way as it was when we first met. That's the ideal. That's the ideal. We all want that. Especially if you're in a relationship. But realistically, it doesn't happen like that. And not that you know people may have the intention and they don't want it. They just have a change of heart. It's just one of them things that as you get older and you grow, sometimes you've heard the terms where people become set in their ways, and it's like almost like learning a person all over again, you know. But I know, speaking from experience, when you're in a relationship or as I would say a marriage, you learn as you go. Every day is a learning experience to me. Every day that I wake up is a learning experience to me because I know I'm probably not the same person I was when me and my wife first got married, but at the same time, I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for development. And in order to strive for growth and development, one, you got to be optimistic. You got to have an open mind. You got to, put yourself in another person's shoes. And if you're willing to do that, I mean, it makes the journey easy, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still work. So, but that's pretty much some of my take on relationships. I mean, there's many more, but you know, it's so broad. You can't just like nail it right there. So I mean, like I said, again, it's a learning experience. It's tough work, and if you're willing to put in the work, you're looking for success. And I think when a person is putting their heart into it and they're dedicated to it, it's going to work for you. It's going to work for you. You gotta you have faith. You step out on faith, and if you believe, it will happen. And like I said, at the end of the day, you still have to be optimistic. You have to be open minded. You got to be able to put yourself in a position of a person that's hey, one day they may be emotional over the littlest thing. You got to be able to look into that, say, okay, what were they emotional about? What was it that got them to that point? And then you got to find yourself if you would ever be in that position. I mean, it's always that possibility. So anything that may become real personal and emotional to you may not mean anything to the other individual. So let's see. We have Tim saying love is 70s work. 30% sunshine. Well, 70% work, 30% sunshine. That's a very interesting, breakdown. I will say, I will probably go a little bit higher on the percentage, but I agree with what you're saying. You're going to put a lot more work and you're going to get less sunshine because if you think about it, like when you go to work, if you work in the morning, if you're a morning shift person, when you get off work, you want to try to get as much daylight as you can before the sun go down. So, that's an interesting synopsis of that. So, yes, I do agree with that. It is 70% work, 30% sunshine. I would even, willing to go as far as 80 to 90% work because everybody is different. You may even get it to a point where it's 50-50 and, a normal human being, if they can at least get 50-50, I'm pretty sure they're going to be, totally and extremely happy because you're not going to feel that you're putting in that much work. And if you're putting in the work and then you have the individual that you're putting in the work with, they can appreciate you for you, they can love you unconditionally, then it's a win-win for both of you. So that's where, you can kind of balance with. If it's 50-50, then you have a person that's pretty much your match, you know, it's pretty much your match. But typically in the world, like I said, you're going to put in more work, you're going to get less sunshine. Definitely. I mean, that was a great comment. I do agree with that. Let's see. Sorry about that. Pull this up a little closer. Commented. Let's see. But definitely commented. Maintaining a relationship is about learning to be optimistic. Yes. And yeah, you have to be optimistic, and optimistic is, you have an open mind, but when you open that mind, you gotta have a broad perspective because, like I said, you're dealing with it's kind of like if you was putting an individual together. You got to say, okay, I got all the moving parts to the individuals I'm putting together now. Now that I got all the moving parts, it's what does it take to make this person work? What does it take to make this person function? So you got to factor in, okay, what makes them emotional? What gets them emotional? What gets them to the point where, they stern and they firm and they, they maybe they don't care, or it's so many moving parts. That's why when it comes to, putting yourself in the shoes of the individual that you're involved with, that's why it takes so much work. I mean, takes so much work. Back to what, the previous comment, 70% work, 30% sunshine. You're trying to learn that person, and I mean, you're not gonna get everything because just when you think you got it, there's something else. So that's why, you put in so much work. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you're willing to put in that work, I mean, you can reap the rewards, And if people can get 30% after giving 70% work, you have to determine, are you happy with that 30%? If you're not happy with that 30%, you got to be willing to put in the work so you can, that significant other that you're with, say, hey, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that 30% number up. We all want more sunshine. Hope, we always say, if we can put less work and get more sunshine, then it'll nearly be a perfect world, you know. But it's, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's like I said, love is one of those things that out of the the things that you can face in reality. It's one of the hardest and one of the toughest. I mean, you got people that would rather go to college and take classes like chemistry than deal with love because I mean, I've seen my daughter. She graduated from college and she took organic chemistry. I didn't even think organic chemistry existed, but it does. It says the hardest chemistry in the world. So, all right, let's see. We got another comment. Let's see. Elizabeth said, commenting every day. Commenting every day is a learning experience. Amen. Always try to change. Not, do not stray away from change. Okay. I think that's what it said. Do not. Oh, yeah. Do not shy away from change. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, you have to be yourself. You know, one of the things I talked about yesterday was self-love. Okay, you got to learn how to love yourself. You can't love anybody unconditionally if you can't love yourself. Because now all you're doing is if you're trying to love somebody unconditionally and you don't love yourself, then all you're doing is confusing yourself. And not only that you're confusing yourself, you're going to confuse that individual that you're trying to love unconditionally because they're probably going to look at you like, what is this person's problem? Because they may be act they may be asking you something so simple, and now you done took them out the left field because you don't know how to respond to what their request may be, and the request can be simple. So I mean, like I said, it's at the end of the, like I said, it goes back to it's a lot of work, you know. That like you said, 70% work, 30% sunshine. Now, depending on the level of challenges, That 70% can go up to 75. It can go up to 80. I mean, I'm like this. If I'm at 50, I feel that I'm doing pretty good. Now, if I can get it down to 40% work, hey, by all means, I'm all for it. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. We got Justice comment. Symphony of virtual voices that stand out, harmonious melody that you know resonate with intellect. Okay, yes. Um, I'm one of them individuals that you know I open myself up to. Like I said, everything is a learning experience for me. I mean, I love to be able to learn. I mean, I can teach, I can mentor, but the one thing, in order for me to be successful in teaching and mentoring, I got to be willing to learn. So if there's anything that I'm willing to learn, then that means that's more that I can pass along to the next person that's trying to learn. Especially if you're trying. If I could teach somebody something and it benefits them, then I did my job. I did my job. I'm happy, because I was able to help, the next individual. That's why, like, even with me writing these books, I write these books as a self help tool. You know, one, I could share either my experience or experiences that I've came across people that I'm, sharing as I understand where they're coming from. You know, even in my book, The Love I Thought I Knew, it's, guys that, like I said, I've came across, friends, relatives, and, in some ways myself where, they've faced some of these harsh realities where, you always, every time you turn around, you always got to prove yourself and you working so hard. And that the, goes back to the 70/30. And, I'm a hold on to that because that 70/30, I mean, like I said, that definitely resonates with me. So when you're sitting here trying to prove yourself, especially when you're trying to prove somebody that you love them unconditionally, I mean, that is you better be willing to put in overtime for that because a lot of times if you're trying to prove that you love somebody and that person is insecure, they're going to make you work twice as hard as the average person because for the simple fact that they hearing you but they're not really listening to you because that insecurity seems to slide right in. So when insecurity takes over, oh yeah, you got something on your hands. So you can always expect that. So um, one thing I say about this book, I will share that a friend of mine, he helped throw some ideas to me when I was writing this book. So I wanted to give a special shout out. His name is Mr. Thomas Johnson, good friend of mine, real good guy. We was sharing ideas back and forth, and we kind of put some of the ideas together, and I mean it came to what I would call a masterpiece. And the thing about it is, I told him, I thanked him, and I, like I said, pretty much dedicated this book to him because, like I said, with him sharing some of the ideas, and I autographed the book for him, and family was thrilled because they they saw his name in the book, so I gave some acknowledgments before I even started on the book. So but I can go over a couple of things like with the top. I mean, not with the tops, but with the characters in the book. So we have the woman. Her name is Karen, and she's a chef. Okay, and her husband name is Calvin. He's a physical therapist. And you go down the line. You got family members. You got Monica and Rodney, which is Karen's mom and dad. Then you have Valerie, which is Calvin's mom. Okay, we got Calvin's mom. We don't have Calvin's dad. Calvin's dad is, deceased. So I didn't put that in there because he wasn't going to be in there. So you got Karen. She's got her sisters. They have professions. She's got one sister that's a caterer. She has a sister that's a veterinarian. Then you have the siblings of Calvin. Which they have professions. So as we go through the story, starting off with Karen, she's going to work and Karen's going to work and she's not herself. People that she worked with, her coworkers, they started to, realize that her attitude is not what it normally is. Okay. All right. Let's see. We got another comment. Unconditional love is something we all look for, but something we're afraid of giving. I can definitely agree on that. I can definitely agree because um, you don't want to put it's, when you give an unconditional love, it's in my perspective, I would say you already starting off going all the way in, especially when you're trying to give unconditional love, because at the same time you're trying to prove to that individual that, hey, I'm here for you. I'm all in. Now, whether that person or that individual receives it that way will determine kind of the outcome of your expectations. So it's like, if I'm giving unconditional love, am I going to get the same level of unconditional love that I'm getting? And that comes along with the anticipation of, you know, again, that's 70-30%. Am I going to get, the same level of sunshine, at least the same level of sunshine as the work that I'm putting in? Is that individual going to put in the same amount of work? Is that individual going to be able to meet me halfway? So let's just say if we are at 70-30, what is it going to take for us to get at least chop away and get at 50-50? So it's the unconditional love. If y'all got the same thought process, you can get to that 50-50. And then before you know it, you're going 40-60. Then you're going 30-70. So you're kind of tipping the scale the opposite way, but you're tipping the scale in a way where it's in your favor, you know. But like I said, again, it takes so much work. So if it's going to take so much work, for a long time, you're going to be at that 70 and that 80% because of the work that you have to put in. Because like I said, it's like, if you was traveling down the road, you may know that road like the back of your hand, but the first time that they do some type of construction and rerouting, you got to learn that road over again. So that takes work. And then even if it's a road construction, chances are you're going to have to break out the GPS. You break out the GPS, and what happens? GPS hasn't been updated to the construction that they've started and they've built. So now it's a waiting process. So you can either you ask for directions, or you just drive around until you find, that route that you have to get on. And doing all that, it takes a lot of work. Relationships the same way. You got people that go through their moments. It takes a lot of work. Okay. We got another comment. I think a big part of love, succeeding is learning how to be vulnerable. That's true. You got to learn to be vulnerable. That is one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have when it comes to being vulnerable, because you want to go in, you want to be that alpha, you want to show that you're strong. You don't want people, especially your significant other. For men, I could speak from a man perspective. We want to be that strong, that you can rely on me. There's no weakness within me. But we're people, we're human. We have feelings as well. So when the feelings step into play, we try to hide them, but at the same time, we're human. Okay, so I think you got people that everybody's going to experience some type of feelings, whether it be hurt or whether that you just one of them people that's going to just be very protective of your feelings. So, but like I said, that comes in, when we're talking about love. I mean, you're going to have you're going to have that wall, you're going to have a protective shield up. It's happening. It's nature. It's nature. So it's nothing uncommon and unlikely with that, because when you're giving your all, you want to get the same thing in return. So with that being said, it's love. I think love is a fragile thing, and like I said, just kind of like with glass. You mark it fragile, you try to be careful. When you're not being careful, chances are you're going to break the glass. So that comes along like with love. It's so fragile. The first time somebody takes advantage of that, then the trust is broken. So, but these are the gambles that we take. And when it comes to love, and like I said, love and unconditional. That's if that was a job, people will be tired when they get home. So yeah, I mean that's my take on love. I mean, like I said again, love is not an easy thing, and it becomes even more challenging when you're loving somebody and then kids come into play. So now, you're trying to love an individual unconditionally, but when you're experiencing some issues, or as we would say, technical difficulties, then you also have to be open-minded to, okay, now, your love is not as strong, or the kids affected. So that's a whole nother job in itself. So when you got kids and, you trying to love somebody and y'all, y'all not going in the same direction. Now the kids has got to sit here and make up their mind because now they're confused. They got two people that became one, and they looking at they are the reason why I'm here. Now, why am I losing this foundation? Now the love is gone. Now they splitting up. So, but it like I said, it's very fragile, and at the end of the day, like I said, it can be a beautiful thing. You know, if you're giving 100, if you're giving 110% plus, and guess what? You know, you just took it to another level. You know, so but I'm getting close to the time when my time is ending. I know they're gonna have more sessions with other authors, but I didn't get a chance to really get into the book like I really wanted to. But I promise you, tomorrow when I come up, I'm gonna try to, dive right in because I want to not only share that, I want to share some of the topics in my other books, and then I also want to share, you know, some of the books that I'm going to get into. So just real quick, I'll just pop up a couple of them. Um, I got this one right here called Intrusive Leadership. This is one of those books I definitely want to get into. I was stationed with this author. It's an officer. He's a real great guy. I mean, as far as leadership, great leader. So I definitely want to get into what it is he has to put out there. So, and I'm gonna share some of my feedback with him. But he's a real good guy, so I know he's got some good work in there. So, but I'm going to end it here, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in, that gave me the comments and the questions, and I look forward to seeing more. And hopefully today, if I've answered your questions, you tune in tomorrow. If you have more questions, I would love to discuss. And like I said, tomorrow we'll try to get more in depth with the book. Okay, y'all take care, and stay safe out there. Bye bye.